All right, welcome everyone to our podcast series where we talk to growing creators from around the world and learn about their journey and overall journey as a creator. Today we have Jenné Claiborne, who runs her own channel, Sweet Potato Soul. It's a vegan food and lifestyle blog, cookbook, and cooking show featuring easy, delicious, and healthy vegan recipes. She publishes the content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and also on her own website. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we just want to understand more about your journey, and tell us what you do, what is Sweet Potato Soul, where you are as a creator, and what's your life like.
Okay, well, first off, your bio of me was perfect. I was thinking, oh, that's so concise and just says it all. I need to borrow that. So maybe I have you email me that later.
I
I've
picked it
actually
up
been
from your own channel. Sorry,
really well. You
it's
did a
already
good.
there.
Oh, okay, wow. I've been doing this for so long. It's so funny because I'm in the middle of redoing my blog right now, and it will
Mm-hmm,
be the first time my blog has been remodeled or renovated since 2015. But I actually
mm-hmm,
started the blog 13 years ago in 2010, started
mm-hmm,
on YouTube in 2011, and of course, Instagram and the other social medias as they came out, which I don't even know when that was, 2013 or
mm-hmm,
something. So
mm-hmm,
I've been doing it for a while, primarily as a vegan blogger, and then that a lot of my work shifted to YouTube and social media as those platforms became larger. I
mm-hmm,
will say, spoiler alert, I'm trying to go back to the blog right now
mm-hmm,
because I feel like I got, in a lot of ways, got where I wanted to be in social media, not totally, but I don't feel as inspired by that anymore. And so I'm putting a lot more of my energy these days into the blog, into my newsletter, and also into my YouTube channel. So that's been my main focus the last couple of months since 2024
got it.
started.
All right. That's an interesting story, Jenny. So, what was the inspiration behind starting Sweet Potato Soul and your journey into the vegan lifestyle in general?
Well, I really started the blog as a hobby the year before I became
Mm-hmm,
vegan, just because so when I was in college, I started becoming interested in food and healthy eating. Back then, we didn't have this
mm-hmm.
term plant-based, but it would have been plant-based. But this is
Sure.
2007. So I started
Okay.
becoming interested in it in college and cooking for myself, shopping at farmers markets, exploring just food, reading
Mm-hmm,
food blogs for the first time because that was when
mm-hmm,
they were really, you know, coming about in the late, in 2007. So I don't even know how you would describe that.
mm-hmm,
But I started my blog as a hobby because I studied acting in college. I wanted to
mm-hmm.
become an actress. So when I
Okay.
graduated, I moved to New York to pursue that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I like having a hobby. I usually always have a hobby. And at that point
Mm-hmm,
in my life, food was my biggest hobby, so I decided to start a blog to, share the recipes that I was creating. So
nice.
really, that's how it all began. I didn't expect to ever turn it into a business or a career because it was so long ago that the only way at the time that I knew people were making money through their blogs
Mm-hmm,
was to write a cookbook. Of course, that was
mm-hmm,
always my inspiration, but I mean, way back at the beginning, it's like, okay, that'll take me, maybe I'll get to that point in like 10 years. It's not going to be
mm-hmm,
my job. I'm not going to try to turn it into my job. I'm not going to do that. So it was all a hobby. 2011, I started a YouTube channel also as a hobby because, like I said, I was an actress. I like to be on camera. So, and I love food. So, why not start a YouTube channel, right? My ex
mm-hmm,
husband, who was my boyfriend at the time,
mm-hmm,
it was his
mm-hmm.
idea. He was like, oh, well, I don't think I've ever even watched YouTube at this point. He was like, we can make cooking videos. That would be fun, right? I'm like, yeah, of
Mm-hmm.
course, that would be amazing. Where do we post it? YouTube. So he had a camcorder, like an old
Okay.
like 2011 handheld
Okay.
camcorder because we didn't have the iPhone had come out, but we weren't the
Mm.
people with the iPhones. I didn't get an iPhone
Yeah.
until very very late. So we had
Okay.
an old fashioned camcorder, and that's how we filmed this YouTube channel to start. Again, I never intended to make money. I could not care less about who watched, how many followers I had. At that point, in
Sure.
order to get people to watch, I would just email my friends and family and my coworkers. I was just like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
out, I posted a video. This is so silly.
Okay.
Go watch. So yeah, that's how I started. And you know what? The next
And
step
this
for
was in 2010,
that was in 2011, 2010 blog,
11.
2011 YouTube.
Got it.
And then, so when I started at YouTube, it was the same time I became vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And I becoming vegan was the big shift, not the
Okay.
blog, not the YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
because up until that point, even though I wanted to be an actress, I
Okay.
realized it wasn't for me. Like the amounts of work I really had to put into becoming, an actress. Like how many
Yep.
famous actresses are there? Like, I don't know,
Yep.
20
Yep.
in the world, or in the United States at least. So I
Yep.
realized, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not that passionate about this. I'm not that interested in this. I need to find something
Yep.
else. And it was a journey. It was, I felt like I was going through a midlife crisis. I have a
Mm-hmm.
degree, I have a BFA in acting. I do, like, what do you do with that? I went 4 years at college for something that I felt like was totally not transferable to any other profession. So I
Okay.
was exploring, I was trying to figure out what to do next. And it
Mm-hmm.
just so happened that I was working at a vegan restaurant with no intention of becoming a vegan myself.
Okay.
And my coworkers convinced
Mm-hmm.
me, after a year of working there,
Mm-hmm.
they finally convinced me to become vegan. And I did my research because I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
done before. I just didn't want to hear it. I
Okay.
did my little research and I became
Yeah.
vegan. And it was when I made the decision to
Mm-hmm.
become vegan that I had an epiphany that what I needed to do with my life was to help other people become
Yep.
vegan in any way possible. I didn't know what that meant.
Mm.
Um, of course, I didn't think it was going to happen through the blog because
Mm-hmm.
this is 2011.
Yeah.
So I just realized, oh my gosh, I'm put on this earth to help people become vegan. This is like
Mm.
literally 2 weeks into me becoming vegan. I'm just like, I know everything about it all of a sudden. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, the real trigger. Now that didn't, like I said, that didn't make me realize I was going to become a creator. We didn't even have that term back then, but it
Correct.
certainly put me on the path that I am on today. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that I've been doing this for so long is not because I like blogging, and I do like blogging, and I like
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really because I have this like broader mission of like I just really want to help people. And there's a lot of other details, but I had a private chef company. That was my first step when I realized I wanted to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
then I also started doing online programs. That was my second step. And I did those for
Mm.
many years. And then I wrote a cookbook, and that was my third step. I did that for many years before ever giving any real attention at all to YouTube
Mm-hmm.
or social media. I didn't even know how many YouTube followers I had until
Okay.
2015. I never
Really.
until then
And,
because
and what was it when you just took a
when I
look at
left,
your dashboard?
okay, it's because, and I
Uh-huh.
had never done monetization either. And
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to at the point. I can't remember how many people I had. I think it was only like, I might have been able to actually. I might have had like, I can't remember if I had over 10,000. If it was 15 or, but
Got
the
it.
reason I left is back then,
Mm-hmm.
that was 2015, there were these YouTube networks. I don't know if you remember those, where
Yeah.
they would almost act as like agencies for your channel, and
Yeah.
they would take a percentage of your monetized earnings
Yeah.
in return for, you know, promoting your channel on their larger platform. There was Tastemade was the one. So
Yeah.
Tastemade reached out to me. They're still around, but they don't do this anymore because this wasn't a viable business model, I guess.
Yeah.
But they reached out to me
Mm-hmm.
2015. I happened to be going to LA where they were based. And
Okay.
they said, oh, come to the office. We want to meet you. They're trying to like convince me to join their thing.
Okay.
So they asked me how many, or they didn't ask me. Of course, they knew how many followers. They asked me
Mm-hmm.
questions about growing my following and monetization. How come I don't have ads turned on? And I was like, being like, what? How much money am I going to make from this? Why do I need to turn on ads? How many people even watch my videos? I don't look at analytics. Who knows? Who cares? So that was the first time because they said I got to
Hmm.
LA and they were like, if you put more time and attention and were consistent with your videos, the
Okay.
quality is good enough that you could actually turn this into something big and like you could really make a significant amount of money from your YouTube
Hmm.
channel. And I was just like, really? I don't watch YouTube. Who watches YouTube? Like I literally, even back then, I did not watch YouTube. I don't think I
Okay.
started watching YouTube until like a few years ago.
Got
That's a
it.
lot. I probably started watching it when I started taking it seriously. So 2016. Before 2016, I did not watch YouTube videos. I
And
don't.
this, and how many videos had you posted by then?
By then, I probably had posted like 30, not that many,
Got
because I
it.
wasn't consistent. I started in 2011 and I posted like in all of 2011, I probably posted four. And then in
Okay.
2012, I probably posted like maybe five. And
Hmm.
then, I had no schedule. It was just whenever I had extra time, whenever I felt like sharing something, same thing with
Hmm.
the blog, whenever I felt like it, that type of thing.
Hmm.
But once I spoke with Tastemade and they put it in my mind and also gave me examples of other people who were actually like, this is their job. Then I
Hmm.
was like, oh, wow, that would be so fun. That if I could really turn this into a monetized part of my business. I still never was like this is going to be my whole business. And it honestly it never has been my whole business, but it's been
Okay.
a huge part of my business since then. So I 2016 I started taking it seriously, posting every week,
Okay.
just being more mindful about my thumbnails and the content.
Yep.
So it no longer was just posting whatever I felt like. I was also starting to
Yep.
do collaborations with other YouTubers, which was very big at the time, which is
Yep.
incredibly helpful with growing my
Yep.
channel.
Yep.
I think for me back then, and with social media, so Instagram and with YouTube, I think, and even with the blog in a lot of ways, I
Hmm.
started at a time where there was not a lot of competition. And
Okay.
if you were just you didn't have to be so excellent, but if you were kind of like good enough and passionate about it, you could really
Hmm.
build a nice following and really monetize and grow very quickly. Versus
Hmm.
now, I think there's just a lot. There's people are always on their phones. There's so much more to look at. People's
Yep.
attention spans are shorter.
Yep.
It's like you got to keep up with trends. Back then,
Yep.
I kind of like coasted into the spot I'm in right now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, so
Got it.
that's the start.
Got it. Thanks for sharing your whole journey, Jenny. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really interesting that you started in 2011, and then, for the first 5 years, you didn't even look at or you weren't paying attention uh, to your dashboard and the metrics and things like that, right? So you published over 40 videos or 30 videos, and then uh, the network really helped you look at YouTube as a serious platforms. Uh, when, are you full time creator, or do you have other sources of income? Do you do something else on the side? How does it look like right now?
So the funniest thing is in 2015 is when I had this awakening that I could become a creator. Still, we
Okay.
didn't have that word, but that
Yeah,
was
we
when I
didn't have
had
that
that.
word back then. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
However,
Yep.
even though it was only 2015 that I realized this, I actually went full time with all of this in
Mm-hmm.
2016. So just a year later. Part of that is because I was
Mm-hmm.
already a private chef and I had created a very successful private chef company in New York, which is why I
Okay.
wasn't focusing on this, right? I was
Okay.
focusing on that business. I thought that
Yep.
it's the business for my future, right?
Yep.
So I did have, I was working for myself. I had my own business. In 2016, at the beginning of the year, is when I started taking sponsorships. I also was able to turn on monetization for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started getting actual paid sponsorships. And I also got a cookbook deal that year. So
Mm-hmm.
with those two things, I was able to go full time with the blog. And I, over the course of 2016, I gave away my private chef client so that
Got it.
I wasn't. By 2017, I don't think I was doing cooking classes and I was doing supper clubs, and that was it for
Got it.
one on people.
Got it. Got it. And what's your process like? What's your process like as a YouTuber today? Like, is there proper planning? Is there a calendar that you have? Do you have a list of things to do? And when it comes to production and editing, what sort of timelines are you looking at? What's your frequency like? What sort of
Hmm.
videos do you do? Like, is it long form primarily right now or short form, which is like really popular today?
Right. Well, so first off, so it's me and one other person.
Mm-hmm.
I call her my media manager.
Okay.
She edits all my videos. She's been full time with me since January 2021. So we
Okay.
are 3 years now. We just celebrated our 3 year anniversary. She's
Nice.
amazing. So when I
Okay.
first started all this, I was doing it with my boyfriend at
Mm-hmm.
the time, who is now
Mm-hmm.
my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out with him. And so when he and I split up in 2020, I
Mm-hmm.
started looking for someone else. I was so lucky. I found Wes. She edits all my videos. One thing that we really needed to do at the beginning, because I have a blog, and
Mm-hmm.
because video is becoming so essential also on blogs, was
Mm-hmm.
like taking videos and shortening them short form, horizontal
Yeah.
edits for every single blog post, right? So sort of things she does. As far as YouTube goes, she edits all of those, all my social media videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
We were living in LA at the time, no longer live there. But fast forward, now it's her and I. She still edits all those videos. I produce them all myself, which I really, really, really need to start outsourcing. I'll say this: I just finished my second cookbook, and writing a cookbook is an incredibly like all consuming process. So now that
Yeah.
that cookbook is done, turned in production, now I'm like trying to redo everything. I'm getting a new website. I'm like, oh my God, I need to hire new people to help me with these things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've produced all the videos. Right now, I publish a video once a week on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually on an 18-month hiatus for all of, I don't even know what year we're in right now, but I was on a hiatus until last October. I came back because I was doing the cookbook. Um, but yeah, once a week, always, we do post short form, like basically the same stuff we're also posting on Instagram, but primarily my channel is still focused on long form, which
Yeah.
I actually like better. But
Mm-hmm.
that's another story. I already,
Yeah.
my audience expects that from me since I've had such an amazing loyal audience, so many of the same
Mm-hmm.
people since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yes, what else did you ask? Oh yeah, planning process. Planning
Yeah.
process is so lengthy. I remember back in the day, it was like, I'm gonna make this, and I just make it and just throw it up there. I don't even care about the thumbnail. I'll do the thumbnail 2 minutes before I post a video. I
Okay.
don't do that anymore. Now I plan the thumbnail first. Now I come
Yep.
up with my title first. Those are the two
Mm-hmm.
most difficult parts of my job, bar
Yep.
none.
Yep.
Those next to writing a cookbook, those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also do a lot of SEO research for my blog, and I try to do something similar to that for YouTube to
Yep.
see what my audience is searching for, what my, even other people who don't yet know about me might be interested
Mm-hmm.
in seeing from me to discover my channel. So I
Mm-hmm.
do that, and yeah, and then I start filming. I write full scripts
Yep.
for my, I do once I start filming, I will sort of ad lib but I follow a shot list with a
Got it.
full script for
Got it.
everything I do, just especially because I film by myself now. First
Got
time
it.
ever filming by myself. I always had videographers and people helping me. But this last 6 months since I came back to YouTube, I've been doing it all myself. So
Yep.
every single part of my videos has to be planned out. Even if it's a vlog, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to plan out my day
Okay.
because otherwise we're going to miss something and we're going to have to
True.
do
True.
reshoots.
Yeah. 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 So, what sort of tools help you with this whole process? Like, in terms of any products that you use, let's say for research and other things. Are there any AI
So
products that you use?
yeah, I don't use any AI products, but Jess, my media
Mm-hmm.
manager, she does.
Okay.
She mostly uses those things though when like if I need help with titles, she'll use those. I am a
Sure.
Luddite, really old, and I know I need to use all these things, and
Sure.
I know I'm holding myself back, but I need to like what I need to learn. I need to after I get off the phone with you, I need to go on
Hmm.
YouTube and commit to like watching some educational videos because I'm not. But she does. She's only 26 years old. But for to be completely honest, I write
Hmm.
all of my scripts
Hmm.
on Google Drive, like in Docs,
Okay.
and I have a tablet that I keep next to me when I'm filming, so I'm like going down the list, make sure I have everything. I
Hmm.
also utilize notes a lot, so I do like checklists for so because I have a blog, this makes it so complicated. Because I have a blog,
Okay.
I'm doing YouTube videos, and then I'm also if I can, if I have the time, I will shoot the food for the blog as well, which
Yep.
sometimes I have to redo it, but I have to do checklists to make sure I have all the shots, angles for the blog for photographs
Yep.
separately.
Yep.
But to be honest, I don't really use any tools that are like, I don't use any special apps or anything. I just use like Google Drive and Notes because again, I'm
Yep.
a Luddite. But I will say my manager, Jess, she uses something. She's like incredible with productivity and such. I
Got it.
can't remember the name of it, but it's pretty big. She
Hmm.
uses it because she does not just this. She also does my newsletter. She's starting to do my social media now.
Got it.
So
Awesome.
I can't remember the name. I'll have to look it up.
Got it. Got it. Uh, and when was it that things started really taking off for you? This is 2015. You have about 10, 15,000 followers. When did you realize? And 2016, you switched on monetization. When did it really started taking off? Was there any particular viral video event, or it just happened organically?
I would say it happened organically. I think every year
Hmm.
it got better and better. Yeah.
Okay.
So for let's say 2015, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this serious.
Yep.
2016 is really when I started taking it seriously because I was like trying to plan and trying to like, okay, how am I going to make this happen? And my ex-husband, what he and I were not together in 2015, so I didn't have his help. But 2016, when we got together back together, we were able to like start taking it seriously, and it was just that consistency of posting every week and um, yeah, really just that. Oh, and also doing collaborations that
Yep.
really made it go from, let's say I started at 10,000 subscribers in 2016, the beginning,
Hmm.
really helped go up from there. And I believe my growth, I can't remember, I'd have to look back at my graphs, but it was pretty exponential. It was pretty quick starting
Hmm.
then, just with that consistency and those, regular collaborations. I also did a lot of sort of networking vegan events in New York City at the time.
Hmm.
So I was meeting so many other bloggers and hanging out with them. And that was really helpful for growing my social media presence as well.
Okay.
I feel like nowadays, me and my friends, my blogger friends, were like always at home. We only see each other if we're like at a conference. Back then, we went to all the vegan events and all the restaurants and hung out and all that.
Hmm.
So 2016, a lot of growth. 2017, continued growth. 2018, I had a, no, wait, 2018, I was pregnant. And that was that was me introducing sort of a new topic to my channel. Because before then, I had only focused on vegan cooking. And I would occasionally do some health stuff like weight loss or, whatever health thing tied to
Yep.
vegan lifestyle. But in 2018, when I was pregnant, my audience was really interested in
Yeah. Yeah.
what are you eating as a vegan, as a pregnant
Yep.
vegan. So I
Yep.
started making a lot of content around what am I eating vlogs, what I eat in a day as a pregnant vegan, da 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 da, advice, da 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 da. When my daughter was born, likewise, I really continued that. And that really, I think that brought in a lot of new audience, people who, are new parents or pregnant moms and who are also interested in maintaining a healthy lifestyle through these new processes, through this new life change. and that was helpful. But I will say, so I kept seeing continued growth. I still see great growth. I mean, now my average is, since I came back in October, I average like 4,000 more subscribers a month. I post
Hmm.
one video. My videos actually, I don't think they do very well. Um, I do my best, but
Yeah.
I do like to see that, my channel is still growing, and this seems like, oh yeah, this is something I continue to want to put a lot of time and attention into, as I like it too.
Yeah.
But also because I know I'm having impact.
Yep.
2020, we must fast forward.
Hmm.
2020 was the year, right? For COVID, which
Yep.
also led to food bloggers. We had TikTok.
Yep.
I do have a TikTok and I do post a TikTok, but I actually have never posted TikTok directly myself. I always have my assistant, my past assistant, or just do that because I
Yep.
don't use TikTok at all. I tell you, I'm too old for that.
Okay.
But that year, you know what happened with people on TikTok? People like, blowing up thanks to TikTok.
Yep.
For food bloggers and food creators, we had a similar blow up for our blogs. So,
Yep.
the amount of money I was making just on ads to my blog was huge that year because
Hmm.
people were home and they were cooking. And
Yep.
likewise for YouTube, people were home watching cooking videos, wanting to start cooking, wanting to start eating healthy. So
Yep.
2020 was a really major pivotal year for me,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to rapid growth from new audiences and also income.
Okay.
2020, which continued into 2021,
Okay.
because now I'd always been working with brands since 2016.
Right.
However, the amount of money brands were paying back then was just astronomical, far more than they ever had before or than they have
Yeah.
since,
Yeah.
also.
Yep.
So that was probably I would say 2016 and 2020, 2016, 2018, and 2020 have been my biggest, most pivotal years. And then I would say even now this year, I'm
Hmm.
kind of like defining myself this year. Been
Awesome.
all those most important pivotal years for Sweet Potato Soul.
Yeah. That's great to hear. That it's been consistently growing for you. Um,
Yeah, different
but
always, but growing.
yeah. Yeah, since you mentioned collaborations and networking a couple of times, I thought it'll be helpful for our viewers as well. I mean, again, 2016, 17, 18 were the time when YouTube and these networks were, you know, really active. I think there's a lot of offline networks as well. Um, uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know if today the ecosystem is much larger, but are there communities online or offline that you're part of? If someone wants to collaborate with you who's smaller or maybe larger, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Is it something that's popular even today?
I don't see it being as popular today, but I think it's equally as important as it had always been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have the same tight networks of friends as I used to, not friends, but blogger friends, people in the
Yep.
same industry. Back in the
Yep.
day when I first, like 2016, 2017, I was, I was collaborating with a lot of people in my same size,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like there were more events. This was pre-COVID, of course.
Yep.
I do think it's ramping up now. I travel a lot,
Okay.
especially within the last 2 years when,
Okay.
so I didn't really get back to traveling till like 2022,
Sure.
right? So we had like 2 major years of like nothing
Yep.
travel wise.
Yep.
And then these travels, I'm speaking at conferences, which I connect with people, and I'm like, we're gonna collab, right? Yeah, let's collab. And we don't really do anything. But I will say, one of my goals this year is to really reconnect with a lot of these people I've met at conferences when I'm speaking. And also, I was recently up in New York visiting my ad management company, which is Raptive, and they run
Yep.
the ads on my blog.
Yep.
And I met amazing bloggers, and I'm like, okay, so one of the goals this year
Mm-hmm.
is to actually follow up. I don't need them to follow up. If they follow up, that's great, right?
Yep.
Make it easier for me. But for me to really follow up and really take this seriously, because we these are people I know on Instagram, right?
Yep.
We've been following each other's stuff for years. We're
Yep.
only now meeting in person, and we're like, oh yes, let's have a collaboration. but we
Hmm.
really need to make that happen. The amount of growth I saw in the past from doing collaborations is,
Yep.
I would say, the majority of my growth came from that. Just, people see me on someone else's channel and vice versa. We're supporting each other.
Yep.
That is just, it's just so valuable, and it's kind of like it's a missed opportunity if we're not
Yep.
doing it.
Yep. Yep. Agree with you. And how about the brands that you worked with? When did that start happening, and how's the ecosystem? How has the ecosystem changed today? Yeah.
Yeah. So a few things. I'm going to tell you the ecosystem today is totally different than it was
Okay.
in 2021. We'll say I still
Okay.
work with brands now,
Sure.
but a lot of the brands I work with, I already have relationships with them. I've worked with them multiple times.
Sure.
Um, so they're like just like coming back to me. I've done a lot of partnerships that are, I sign a contract at the beginning of the year for an ambassadorship through the whole year, and then I sign it again the next year, right? So
Got it.
those type of things, those still happen, but they
Mm-hmm.
do. I don't think they happen as much, and not as much for smaller creators. I don't see it as much. What I see instead these days is I see these larger brands. Um, this is a good thing. Going for reaching out to smaller creators, opportunities for smaller creators. The only
Mm-hmm.
problem is they don't pay as much as they paid me when
Okay.
my following was small.
Yeah.
Budgets have been cut, I think, because there are more creators, there are more people to say yes to less money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got it.
Back then, it was like, we need a black vegan blogger or a black vegan YouTuber who can like use this product, who has a following in like Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
There's only like, there are not that many of us at the time, right? So
Yeah.
so I'm in like, I can ask for more,
Yeah.
which thank God I saved my money, right?
Yeah.
Because nowadays I don't see the same. So
Yeah.
nowadays, the type of, like I said, the type of partnerships I work on, a lot of repeat people. Like I'm sitting in my kitchen, as you know, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really look like it. I have all these KitchenAid appliances. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with KitchenAid, I can't even tell you how many times.
Okay.
And I just did a partnership with them for Christmas. Like
Mm-hmm.
for years, is the same people. I don't work with as many new or random companies anymore. I used to work with, like, I don't know, the jelly company and the, like, all sorts of random stuff. Soda Stream. And
Yeah.
they would work through these. This still happens. They work with these like marketing agencies or brand agencies. So I
Sure.
would never talk. I never had like a real relationship with the brand. And then it,
Sure.
like, say I worked with Soda Stream in
Okay.
2020, followed up with the same people who hired me for that partnership. Then
Mm-hmm.
those emails would probably bounce. Those emails probably wouldn't even work anymore, because the people who worked there don't even work there anymore. And if they
Sure.
did, they don't even have that client anymore. Things shift so much.
Yep.
So I will say the majority of my income in 20 from like 2018 to 2022,
Mm-hmm.
well, still, I mean, my most of my income is probably still not the last really 2 years, because I did a cookbook instead. I used, instead of doing partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
I committed to the book, which,
Got it.
if you have a large following, you can get a great large advance.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
your other option. But for those like 4 years, that was the
Mm-hmm.
largest portion of my income. And I did not want to do another cookbook, because I knew it was going to take me away from my Instagram, my blog, and my YouTube. And I wouldn't be able to maintain those things and keep getting those high income jobs in. Like, I didn't take another cookbook deal until I could get at least how much I was making in a year from sponsorships. Otherwise, it would not make sense.
Got it.
So you
Got
really
it.
got to like, but the thing is, there's so many ways to make money as a creator. These are just, we're only talking about like one or two things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to diversify, which I think I've done pretty well. But I just think it's important to diversify, because you never know when something might, it might be great 2024, and then 2025 that has dried up. So
Yep.
make sure you have your income coming from a lot of different places if you can.
Yep. Got it. Got it. I think since you mentioned a couple of times, like you, even agencies, I think that's an interesting segue to my next question. Uh, do you work with brands directly, or how does that relationship work today for you? Are there
Mhm.
talent management companies that manage you? If there's one or more than one that handle you, how's that like today? Did you ever work
Mm.
with a talent agency?
Yeah, so I am with the talent agency now.
Mm-hmm.
I signed with for the first time with one in 2018. I was with DBA,
Okay.
and I was with them for a few years, and then now I'm with CAA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you give them a percentage, which can feel
Sure.
like, oh my gosh, so much money. But I have found that having somebody else, a large agency who
Mm-hmm.
is well connected, manage my partnerships and
Yep.
bring me partnerships has made me way more money than I think I could have made on my own because they have the relationships that I don't have the time and bandwidth to go out
Mm-hmm.
and form these relationships, right?
Of course.
So for me, I think it is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I also will say I did manage my own for about a year
Sure.
between DBA and CAA.
Sure.
And so what I did instead, because it's important, is I put an attorney on retainer. So
Okay.
so that I would negotiate my own contract or, the money essentially.
Sure.
And then once we, agreed on a rate, then I would send it to my attorney and she would go back and forth with the actual, because that is, oh my God, that's even more important than the money, like having a good contract.
Got
And when
it.
you're with a good agency, that's
Yep.
bundled in there.
Yep.
But so if you're not with an agency, it's super important to make sure you do have a good lawyer who you have
Yep.
read the contracts. Even if you're using these can't remember what they're called, but some listeners might know there are these platforms
Mm-hmm.
where you can sign up as a creator and you can see it's like a marketplace of sponsorship opportunities where you could submit yourself. So
Yep.
let's say it's Colgate, they're looking for, you know, 30 influencers, they're paying X amount of money and these are deliverables and you could submit.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you do those partnerships, I do think it's very important, perhaps even more important, to make sure you have a lawyer reading your contracts because it's incredibly important to look out for usage.
Mm-hmm.
How long can they use your image? How long can they use that photo? Also, ownership. Are they taking ownership of the content that you produce? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these contracts that we sign when we work with brands are all encompassing and are incredibly not not in the creator's favor. I'll say that.
Yep.
So make sure you have somebody who knows what they're doing, looking out for you,
Got
so
it.
you can create. We're not supposed to be lawyers.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I would like take a step back and understand more about your channels as well. So we mentioned you're heavy on YouTube. You also have a website that you regularly publish on, and it's part of your process. But I want to understand if the newer platforms like TikTok and maybe Instagram Reels, how does that fit into your your not just as a channel that you publish, but also in your revenue streams, right? So is Instagram something that is something that brands look at, or is it it's just another channel that you manage and that's it?
No. So okay, the biggest benefit of Instagram for me
Hmm.
is number one for reach, right? Too,
Sure.
because what I'm doing, I'm trying to inspire people to go vegan, right? So when it comes down to my mission, Instagram is really good at just helping me get my message out, my recipe out.
Okay.
And it's also fantastic if you want to do brand deals. If you
Hmm.
just want to do brand deals, then Instagram, you have to have a strong Instagram. You can make, you can be a, let's say, a mid-tier creator like me and make
Okay.
$1 million a year just from Instagram
Okay.
brand deals. The danger with that is I don't see it being sustainable long term.
Okay.
The other thing about Instagram, and the reason it's not sustainable is because, like I said before, 2020 to 2021, those 2 years, yeah, we're making a lot of money on Instagram just by, because that's when Reels was launched, right? So if you were doing a Reel, if you look at my old original, like first Reels from 2020, they're terrible quality. I did my best, like I didn't know what I was doing,
Mhm.
but they're terrible quality. And They're like fun, they're whatever, and they have, hundreds of thousands of views and like tens and tens of thousands of likes. Versus now, it's not the case. Now, I haven't been posting on Instagram, and I'll explain why in a minute. But now it's not the same, right? Instagram is very fickle.
Mm-hmm.
So algorithm is fickle. It changes a lot. There's how, well, I guess this is the algorithm. So the algorithm is the main issue that you have to deal with here. So it's not
Yep.
a sustainable business to only be on Instagram. Now, if you do just do super, super well on Instagram, you're one of those like lucky few who can do it longer than a few years,
Mm-hmm.
then I would take that money and reinvest it in other platforms to continue to grow my business and for the inevitable shift that Instagram will certainly have on your business. So, but the thing I don't like about Instagram right now, of course, is like the algorithm shifts. But it's also because I run a blog, right? I make money from my blog. If I don't post to my blog, I make, a nice amount of money from it regardless because it is 13 years old. I have a ton of organic search traffic from Google for all these old recipes. I do update, you know, I'm always trying to improve that blog, but the blog is sort of like my home base, right? Everything else, the goal is to send people from Instagram, YouTube, my newsletter to the blog. If I do TV, I just try to send them to the blog. Instagram is not good for sending people back to your blog.
Yes.
Any app is designed really to keep you on the app, obviously. Why would
Sure.
they send you to somebody's blog? Like
Yep.
that's not what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So as somebody who, because for a blog, I can make way more money on the blog just from ads
Mm-hmm.
and a lot less effort than Instagram,
Yep. Yep.
So it's kind of like, yeah, it's just trying to figure out like, is this worth the investment in time? So right
Mm-hmm.
now, what I'm doing is shifting from managing my own Instagram to having Jess, who I've talked so much about, who I love,
Yep.
having her manage my Instagram. I didn't want to do it before because I didn't like really trust anybody to take it over. But 3 years into the relationship, I think I trust her.
Yep.
So
Got it.
she's taking it over. Here's the thing, we still make videos for YouTube that can be
Mm-hmm.
turned into Instagram, but
Yep.
also I still have to make YouTube or have to make videos for my blog, which
Sure.
are, they're usually overhead, which is works better for Instagram as well.
Got it.
But I don't want to have like my relationship with Instagram at the moment is like I want to post to Instagram to inspire people.
Got it.
For people to really have a deep impact and for people to be like sweet potato soul. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's going to come from Instagram because it never has. I've been on there for 10 years. YouTube, on the other hand, I
Mm-hmm.
have I have had, I cannot tell you how many people over the course since I began this journey come to me and say, Jenné, you helped me become vegan.
Mm.
But they always say it is from the YouTube channel.
Got it.
Never has anybody ever said, I watched you, I found you on Instagram and you helped me be vegan or eat healthy or whatever that might be. And not a never.
Got
It's
it.
always from YouTube.
Got
So
it.
and if I want to inspire people, but I really want to have lasting impact too. So I'm like, I better
Mm.
stick with YouTube
How
because
about
the people
TikTok? That's a
TikTok,
new thing.
I don't even TikTok. And TikTok I would put in the category as Instagram as well.
Sure.
Because it's based on a short attention span. It's made to trigger a part of your brain that just is scrolling for more.
Sure.
Personally, I don't even think that's healthy for humans to
Mm.
be I don't even have it on my phone.
Got
I
it.
don't even use it. I have not been on Instagram at all today. I
Okay.
don't use these platforms because I don't, one, they're terrible for productivity, especially if you are a creator. They're not
Okay.
good for a business owner of any kind. They're just a time suck.
Yep.
But two, the platform is not designed for you as a consumer to
Mm-hmm.
succeed. The platform is
Yep.
designed for you to stay on the platform. So I want you to get off the platform, get in the
Sure.
kitchen, cook healthy food, live a healthy lifestyle, and get outside and live, be happy. And so,
Sure.
like, I also have that thing of like these platforms. Yes, you can make money from these platforms, but for me, for Sweet Potato Soul, what my mission is, it is not conducive to that. So
Yep.
yes, I will continue to post, but I frankly, the real reason I continue to post on Instagram is for fear of feeling like I am um,
Yeah.
of losing relevancy.
Yeah.
It's fear
There are a lot of creators
along.
who exist just on Instagram and TikTok, but not on YouTube because, they're comfortable producing those short form content, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that's dangerous because
Yep.
number like for all creators, anybody watching, I think you need to have a home base. I think you need to
Yep.
have a website. Even if you don't have a blog. I
Yep.
think you have to have somewhere, and even more importantly than that, really, is you need to have a way to get in touch with your audience if YouTube, Instagram, TikTok is disappears. So I have a really robust,
Yep.
loyal
Yeah. So
newsletter.
do you have a
Having
newsletter and email list as well?
absolutely
Oh,
that
really?
I
Okay,
have had a
nice.
2012. I send it twice a week. I
Mm-hmm.
have a 55% average open rate on my newsletter.
Oh, that's
My
really
newsletter
good.
is incredibly important to my business.
Yeah.
If I need if I need to survey my audience, if I need people to buy something for me like cookbook, I used to do programs and that's really how I started with the newsletter because I
Yep.
used to sell online products and programs and ebooks and things like that.
Yep.
If I want to make money quickly and sell a product,
Mm-hmm.
the newsletter is where it will happen.
Yep.
The newsletter is the most important. Then it's the blog, of course, because you can
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of money off the blog. And then it's YouTube, and then it's social media.
Got it.
For because I've been doing this for so long, there's no way I could have been. There's no way I would be at the place I am right now if I didn't have all these things and really have like a priority amongst them.
Yep.
Because like I had for my cookbook, for example, I needed recipe testers. Obviously,
Yep.
that's important.
Yep.
I sent an email out. I said only had to send one email to ask people would they be interested in being recipe testers. Within the
Mm-hmm.
first 24 hours, I had 560 signups.
Yep.
Just for these people are not getting paid, nothing. We had to
Mm.
narrow it down to 15 people. But that's the type of response that I get from my newsletter. When my
Yep.
cookbook sold really well, it continues to sell really well, and
Yep.
it's 5 years old. No, it's actually 6 years old. So
Yep.
anyway, yes.
That's
But
no,
I've heard the opposite.
you really have some great foundations laid out, and it's a multi-channel
Yes,
approach. So it's a really good community that you're. I mean, it's a community that you can depend on. So it doesn't matter if YouTube goes down or Instagram goes down for you anytime, right? So you still have your email list, you still have your website visitors, and you still,
internet would have to go
safe.
down to take me
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So internet stay up. But listen, if the internet went down, look, I have a backup plan because before all this, I was a private chef and I was
Sure.
doing cooking classes and
Sure.
supper clubs and
Yep.
like it's fine.
Everyone has to have food, right? I mean, you mentioned things about Instagram and TikTok algorithms, right? So, since YouTube is your main channels, and I want to understand how you navigate the platform's algorithm. So, uh, you know,
I'm actually bad at that. I'm
okay.
terrible. So I will say I'm not very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like I try to use I do use the tool in or YouTube. Within YouTube Studio, and if you go to the analytics tab,
Yep.
there's a there's another tab at the top,
Mm-hmm.
far right usually, where it's like you can research.
Yep.
Research competitor channels, research keywords,
Yep.
research trending topics and such. And I use that.
Mm-hmm.
And but here's the thing. What I'm trying to get better at and what I will just outsource. One thing I am like right now I'm in the middle of redesigning the blog and hiring blog writers. I've never done that before. I've always written all my blog posts.
Mm-hmm.
Now my next step is to outsource like not full production, but like kind of like strategy around YouTube to deal with those algorithms, to deal with SEO and search and really you know, try to increase and improve the engagement and viewership of my channel because at the moment what I do is I'm like I have the blog and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make a YouTube video, I have to make sure that the recipes in this video are going to perform well on the blog by Google SEO, like Google organic search. So I start there and then I come over to YouTube. And let's just say I'm doing what's my SEO search. I use Key Search and SEMrush.
Mhm.
Okay, they say vegan breakfast is, going to do really well, right? So let me make a video and then I go onto YouTube. Is vegan breakfast going to do well? Let me see how well this topic has done on other people's channels. Let's see how much search it's getting. Da 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 da. And then I narrow it down to say, okay, now what recipes will be in this video? I do the same process again to make sure that that recipe will do well on the blog as well as on the YouTube channel. That is probably where I need help because it's a really tricky. It's just hard. It's just hard to get it right. Um, but yeah, I'm really bad at that.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with like the blog. I do pretty well with the blog, but like bringing that over to deal with to deal with like the algorithm on YouTube and social media, like I'm not that good at it. That's why I want to like. That's why I'm like, okay, the blog. Focus more on the blog and have somebody help me with Instagram and YouTube back end stuff because I can make the videos and I could cook, but Lord,
Mhm.
not
Got
my
it.
best.
All right. So, looking forward, how do you envision the growth and evolution of your channel, Sweet Potato Soul, over the next 5 years? Like, are there any plans to expand into new markets, or maybe, like other creators, introduce products and merchandises and things like that, or maybe have multiple channels? So what's your goal or strategy like for growing your current business?
Good question. So, at the moment, the main focus for this year is the blog. It's really for the next 6 months
Sure.
because so right now on my blog, I post 1 to 2 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes, like if I'm traveling, it's like I might not post at all. The goal on my blog is to get it up to 4 times a week. That's the big, big goal.
Hmm.
And then, YouTube. I don't really have like a set goal for YouTube except for reaching 1 million subscribers because right now I'm at 700 something thousand.
Yeah.
So 1 million is the main goal for 2024. However, I am starting another channel this year. I'm actually starting a podcast, which will be all about Black women health.
Oh, really?
Um, like an interview, long form, super long form, like let's like think of like Diary of a CEO or Huberman Lab
Sure.
with health professionals. It'll be all live here in Atlanta.
Sure.
But that is my uh, I can't tell you how passionate I am about this idea. So what we're gonna do for that is I haven't launched it yet because I want to do the blog first. But batching content, being that it's all live in Atlanta, it's like a whole thing. So I have to batch YouTube content for my regular channel and then batch this content. So by this fall, I'd like to launch this
Sure.
fall. That's the year. And then yeah, writing more cookbooks. I see more cookbooks in my future. I have some great ideas. I also have a show idea that I really want to sell. I'll probably
Mhm.
go the route of selling it to a network versus just doing it on YouTube because I made sort of a pilot for it on YouTube and Amazon sponsored it.
Oh, really?
And that was great, but I
Interesting.
needed it to be sponsored. It costs a
Interesting.
lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
does. It
I
does.
did but I want to sell it. Maybe I could sell it to Amazon like Prime Network or
Yeah.
Netflix or something. I actually have somebody else I'm talking to who has a TV show on Netflix helping me with this idea. So yeah, my podcast. These are the new things: podcasts, TV show, and more cookbooks.
Awesome. Awesome.
Next 5 years.
Yeah. 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 Great. You have it all laid out. That's really great. I think yeah, I mean I think it's we could wrap this episode. So I would extend my heartfelt thank you to Jenny Claiborne from Sweet Potato Soul for joining us and sharing such insightful and inspiring aspects of her journey. I was truly enlightening to learn some of how things started for Jenny, your passion for vegan cooking, and how did you even become vegan. So really interesting. And now you have a whole new community with multiple channels, and really solid foundations. And we wish you, all the very best in the coming journey. Like I think, especially for the things that are coming in the next 1 year, at least from CAMB.AI, I can see that we're going to be watching you.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you. It
Thank you
was
again. Thank you
lovely to
again for being here. It was an absolute pleasure.
likewise.
Bye bye.